All right, this is what y'all need to know about the TikTok ban. TikTok and ByteDance are two different companies that work together to give you the TikTok experience. The United States wants TikTok to split up from ByteDance because the United States is alleging that TikTok's relationship with ByteDance is a threat to United States national security. TikTok says this is not true, and not only is it true, it's impeding on our freedom of speech. The question or the issue here is, does a corporation have freedom of speech? And I think maybe it does. I don't know. I forget that part of life sometimes. And if it does have freedom of speech, to what extent? But additionally, the question is, does the interest of justice outweigh the freedom of speech? And I don't know if that's the limit test or not, but essentially is getting rid of TikTok more or less beneficial than keeping it? Is national security more important than the freedom of speech that may or may not be encroached upon? And honestly, based off of the arguments that I saw that TikTok had the weaker argument, because what happened was the government didn't just say, okay, TikTok, if you don't, they didn't say you're banned. They say, hey, you can still exist. However, if you exist, you can't partner with ByteDance because ByteDance is possibly one of our enemies and can use the information that it collects from the users against us and the users one day. And we don't like that. Additionally, we also don't like that the information that TikTok gets from its users. We don't like the information that TikTok gets from the American users is like vital or pertinent to TikTok being successful. Additionally, we don't like this biased algorithm. So let's be clear. TikTok made it very clear that its algorithm is biased. So anybody who was wondering about that, it is biased. And TikTok doesn't want to divest from ByteDance because if it does, it's going to lose that biased algorithm. And the algorithm is contingent or is it needs America's information for it to function properly. That's why they don't want to separate. America say, we don't care about none of that. None of the reasons that you give is more important than national security. And they actually have an extremely valid point. Because also, okay, back to what I was saying, because the government didn't tell them that they had to completely, they're not taking away their freedom of speech. What they're saying is you can't give somebody else they're saying that you can't give somebody else your freedom of speech. Because what TikTok is trying to argue is you're encroaching on China's freedom of speech in America. Like, China don't got no freedom of speech here, and they don't get freedom of speech here through you. That's not how this works. And no, China does have a right to be here. They have a right to be here in certain ways, and this not one of the ways. And that's what the judge is trying to figure out, is the way that China and TikTok, ByteDance and TikTok are working together, as that's something that truly risk the safety, the national security of Americans and Americans in the future? Or does the corporations' freedom of speech outweigh the national issue, and whether this issue should be tried at the strictest scrutiny where you have to show overwhelming evidence, or should it be intermediate scrutiny? So that's what's going on. So last thing that you need to know about the TikTok ban. So I hope that made sense to you. But the last thing you need to know about the TikTok ban is if the TikTok ban goes through, then one, TikTok will not shut down immediately. It still will function as normal for now. But also, if the TikTok ban goes through, it could be turned around ultimately by Donald Trump when he's sworn in. Additionally, the judges may provide, because I do admit that there is a question of law here. And because there's a question of law here, I think that there should be an injunction, a stay, until they figure out the question of law. And I think it would only be fair for TikTok to be allowed to continue. So they may issue a stay on Monday. One, because they don't know what Donald Trump is going to say. And two, you could just let it play out. There's a issue, a bigger issue at hand here that may need to, especially with the evolution of AI, that these judges might, for personal interest and political interest, may delve into that case or oblige that case. So there could be a stay. And a stay is just, okay, we can't do nothing. We're not gonna ban it. It's not banned, but now we have a case to see until it's actually banned. And they can do it. So we're gonna just pause and let TikTok run as business as usual until we get a final judgment. Or they'll just allow a stay because they think Donald Trump. I think the best move would be to allow a stay, to let it run its course, because if Donald Trump is in control of it, then I feel like the court, I feel like the law is going to be unfair some kind of way. I don't know. I just don't think that's justice. I think we have a Supreme Court for a reason. So that's what's going on with TikTok. So you don't have to worry about your TikTok going away, at least for the next month or two. But we'll see for sure on, I think Monday is when court will re-adjourn. Like I said, the government was like, no, TikTok is not going to go away immediately, but it probably will go away. It will fade black. So they'll probably give you, because they have to give you proper notice and time to uproot your businesses and things like that. So that's a really real possibility, but there's also a possibility not. And even if it does go to court, there's still a possibility that it may go away. So I still wouldn't take it lightly. I still would make sure I migrated my businesses and everybody knew, and it just gives you time to do that. And if it doesn't go away now, you have people on other platforms, but you always want to be smart and start to migrate your businesses now, just in case, because you don't want the deadline to come and it actually does go black, because there's a possibility that it really will go black. Not immediately, but it really will go black. So you just want to be smarter, not harder. So be over prepared than unprepared. But that's the TikTok tea. I hope that made sense for y'all. I hope I can get to 10K before it go black. All right, bye.